Hey family, I am testing new lighting and new setup in my house. Hey, I'm live. I'm testing new lighting and new setup in my house because when I do Google Hangout with a lot of you guys out there, I look either yellow or I look extra special. I got a nice gray hue to me, which I don't like. So I'm going to see if I'm actually live right now. So this is really like a tester of liveness, which I don't even know if I'm live. It says I'm live. I don't see me live. This is broadcasting live, and I don't see me live. See, this is kind of the weird part of the setup. Oh, I am live because I can see me on TV. I can see me on my phone. So anyway, how you doing out there? 6 of you guys watching. I just want to kind of like talk about oh, okay, Angel's watching, Aaron's watching, Stomp Down. How you doing, Stomp Down? And Ranch says great. Say I look good. I look good. I'm trying to improve my lighting because sometimes I look back at my camera and I look like really like this black woman that's worn and mean, and I just don't like that look. That look is not working for the queen. It just doesn't work. So I'm working my camera differently. I'm trying to see the different lightings that come about. And I'm out there to ask some questions and just talk about what's going on in the country right now, and what's going on in America, because it's kind of a hot mess with Omarosa and this madness that's out there. I recently just did a video and I gave a breakdown of my thoughts and my encounters with Omarosa. And I'm going to put it in chronological order. And I'm also going to kind of give you my perspective of this whole scenario of race, racism, and Black America. Real Aaron Collins says, I look beautiful. Thank you, Aaron. I'm trying to make sure I get a better lighting because God knows my lighting was not right. And I want to make sure I get my lighting right. It's summertime and it's hot as hell. And I'm wearing my hat. I'm wearing my hat because I am tired of people thinking that this is a racist president and he's racist. Hell, half the people you work for in America could be racist. We don't know. The key thing is that you are there to get what you want out of this administration to work in your best interest. And apparently we don't have Black people leading that fight for that. All right, let's go with some questions. Justine says, hi, Shirley, you look beautiful. Thank you so much. I've learned so much from you. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. That means a lot to me because, you know, I really just share my heart. I share what I've gone through, my experience, what I think I can help other people in, and how I feel like it can be a contribution towards America and African-American people. Who else has anything else? A question. Okay, Stubb says, what are your thoughts? As my phone acts weird. What are my thoughts on something? Oh, so sorry. Okay, because I cannot see the question here. What are my thoughts on something? Jesse Jackson, on what he has to say. He said something. I don't know if Jesse Jackson said something. Is it about Omarosa? Or are we talking about, shout out to the Aretha Franklin, the queen who has passed on. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And she was a wonderful woman of God. She was an activist and advocate for African-American people in the 60s and the 70s. And she later on got numerous awards for her voice. And she was the queen of soul. And it's hard to find great singers that we don't have today. And it's unfortunately, we don't see that. So I just left O'Shea's stream. I know, me and O'Shea, I thought we were streaming tonight. I didn't get a call from him because I was going to come on O'Shea. Yes. I was going to come on O'Shea. We were talking about illegal immigrants and immigrants. That's what we were going to talk about. So, but we didn't. So I'll, you know, maybe I think Stump Down regarding Jesse Jackson, you know, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Maxine Waters, these people have been around for a very long time. And after so many years, you hear a barking dog with no execution, meaning that these people have barked and barked and barked, and they have not helped to better the lives of Black people, knowing many of them have power and the resources to do that. So What's in my heart right now? Let's talk about money and opportunities in money for Black American people. We never talk about the solutions of money, but we do talk about the solutions for other people who have taken advantage of us. Many of you guys know in my previous video, I talk about you have to be engaged with people who have the same mindset and ideology that you do. You have to. And I think that's the problem when we talk about money and wealth within our country and within African Americans. We're not around people who have the same spirit and the same ideology, such as I've told you, go to meetup.com and find ways to collaborate with people who have the desire and the passion that you do. You're wonderful, you're beautiful, you're brilliant. And somehow many of you don't even know that. You need someone to encourage you. Well, I'm here to do that. I'm here to let you know that you have this opportunity called America. And you have a capitalist administration that are putting things in place for you to move forward. But to live in the strife, to live in the rage of anger and racism is not going to move you forward. I'm not saying to live in denial. I'm not saying that white supremacy doesn't exist. I'm saying that there's another side of opportunity and opportunity that makes you glow within. And a lot of that has to do with being able to pray, number one, and to have a spirit of discernment. And that spirit of discernment is what I'm sensing right now in America. Many Americans are confused by what Omarosa is trying to put on the table, that this man is racist, that he is prejudiced. And many of us who wore this hat and carried this banner from the conception, such as myself, before he was even president, understood that America is really a big capitalist organization. It is a big enterprise, it's a big corporation. And that is why when you come into this country, Mr. Trump came in his administration and he addressed it from a trade point of view, trade stance. He came here understanding immigrants and the misuse of visas between immigrants and illegal immigrants. He understood the fact that many families in this country were falling apart. So if we look at Omarosa and what she has done, which is nothing, she took on the banner of saying she represented the African American, the liaison to President Trump, an advisor. What did she advise him on? She didn't basically take any of our resumes. Many of us met with her. I met with Omarosa. She didn't want our resumes. She didn't want to sit down. She didn't talk with us. She talked to the Congressional Black Caucus. That is who she talked with. So, okay, so the question that's up, I can see it now. What are your thoughts on Jesse Jackson starting with him preaching Aretha Franklin's funeral? He said, I'll wait. That was his friend. That was during his era. And she probably already told her children and her family who she wanted to be and speak at her funeral. This lady was not dumb. She was highly intelligent. I think all that was already planned out. He was doing that era of Martin Luther King, Alva King. His niece spoke on that recently on the news, that she was an amazing, phenomenal woman. Diana Ross had said good things. Tina Turner has said good things. These people all lived and act during that same era. So I think it's rightfully so that Jesse Jackson would speak at her funeral. And people who were of her era, who lived and went through those trials and tribulations of the civil rights movement, as well as Blacks of that time, as well as today. She was a wonderful woman. I mean, I never got to meet Aretha Franklin, but I think we all felt like Aretha was definitely a little part of all of us, and we all gained respect for sure. Yo, Queen, hi. Who else is out there? Yo is out there. Joko's out there. Joko says the illegals are very good at working loopholes. The illegals are being coached, monitored, and being trained through the Catholic Church, through immigrant attorneys, to know how to work the loopholes. Illegals have an underground railroad of infrastructural disruption, meaning that they know how to break the law and they know how to manipulate the law, especially in California. We have illegal immigrants who are here, who have pushed out American people, specifically African-American people, onto the streets. Many of you guys have seen me with my interviews where I've talked and I walked with many African-Americans. These beautiful people whose hearts I truly go out for, the people I filmed that were in cages. No one's talking about the Black people in cages. My God, you guys, please share my videos. Please get those likes up right now. Get those likes up. Make those Snapchats and those live chats, super chats real, because I go out there because I share my heart. I want you to see these people who are homeless Black, who are being pushed out by illegal immigrants, who are living in cages. And when I say that, people talk about the children. What about the elderly American Blacks who are pushed out? It's not right. It's not fair. And we need to do something about it. I also filmed Joko videos of the illegals selling on the streets with stolen grocery carts. And I went to the police in my last video you saw, and they didn't want to do anything. They said they were told by the city council and the mayor and the governor to not touch these people. So they have a special protective class rights. And the reason why they do, one, is because California has manipulated the laws, and there's a lot of people here who are evil, a lot of people in California who are doing the law the wrong way. They are corrupt people leading this administration of the state of California. Number two, we as Black people aren't working as a unit. It is so important that whatever you do, you have to understand, why are Black people failing? Because we don't work as a unit regarding issues. I think the two issues right now for me is dealing with the illegal immigration and them pushing and filtrating into our community, causing mental health to come upon Black communities and elderly people who are homeless on the street. Let me say that again. The mental health facilities are not available. So what has happened is these people are homeless on the street, and they have nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and people give them clothes and food. You got to do better than that. Number two, we talk about the crime and disruption of the police and the brutality that goes on in urban communities. In Chicago, many of those Black people should unite and start marching to the police stations and sitting there and say, we demand better protection and better infrastructure. We demand the martial law to come to Chicago and to areas where we know we as constituents cannot control. When I hear white people say to me, you know, Shirley, y'all should stop killing each other. You want me to put myself in the line of fire to stop two people from killing each other? You got nothing coming, boo-boo. I pay my taxes just like you. You should put yourself in the line of fire. Oh, I can't do that. Well, what makes you think because I'm Black I can? I don't want to get shot. But what I think all of us can do is basically say, look, feds, the state is failing us. Our local government is failing us. We need the federal government to intervene for what has happened with the crime, with the MS-13s, and what's happening with Black on Black crime. Those two issues I would think should be prevalent within this administration with Black America. But as you know, President Trump had Omarosa and she failed us. Big Sap's in the house. Big Sap's in the house. Elizabeth, oh, the queen, she gave me some money. Miss Shirley, I really appreciate your work. God bless you and your family. Stay safe. Bless you. Love from Alabama. I love me some Alabama. Y'all got some good food from there. I've been to Alabama. My son, my middle son, went to Stillman College. He didn't finish there. He ended up finishing. He came back home to California. Womp, womp. But I like Stillman. I thought it was a great college, and I've got family in Louisiana and Texas, and I look forward one day to going back out to Mississippi. My friends, shout out to Cheryl. Cheryl's on my Facebook friend. She's in Alabama. Y'all got some good food. You got good hearts and good people, and I'm appreciative of that. Stump says, sister, when you post that video of the Black support for DACA and the illegal immigrants, California, was shocking and upsetting. It was shocking and upsetting because what you're learning in California, the illegal immigrants have protective rights, and those protective rights allow them to have children. Listen to me. Irresponsibility, it should be the word. They were irresponsible in their actions in conceiving these children, because when they have children, they put themselves on the government, they get federal tax relief, they go ahead, they sell on the street, their elderly also sell on the street, they get Section 8, they get WIC, they get welfare, and they work, and they get paid under the table. Now, many of you guys have gotten out there and you're attacking Laura Ingraham, calling her a racist and all this. I've met Laura. Laura's my friend. I don't think she's a racist. Matter of fact, I know she's not. But she's made it very clear that the immigrants are using the illegal immigrants as leverage to work against Black people. Listen to what I'm saying. The immigrants are using illegal immigrants to leverage against us. How are they doing that, Shirley? Because when the immigrants come here, they have those visas, and those visas allot them to have jobs. They buy franchises and corporations, right? You say, well, that's the American dream. That's exactly right. And they are utilizing the systems for that. And when they do that, they don't hire blacks in California. I've showed you videos and I showed you signs with that black guy who's standing on the corner saying, hire me. They don't hire us. They hire illegals because they skim off of paying the government. How do they do that? They take envelopes, and in these envelopes, they pay those people under the table. Yes, they do. They pay them under the table, and they pay them above the table, meaning like a 9 to 5, maybe a minimum wage, but they know they got to pay them a little bit more, but that's all they're going to pay them. And if they pay them under the table, that way they don't have to pay them health insurance. They don't have to pay them above minimum wage, and they can work them extra hours when they were not supposed to. They are disrupting the infrastructure of law in California. Now, if people know that, why do they allow them to do that? Because everyone in California who is running and part of that game are corrupt. There's too much corruption in California. And I go back to what I say when Mr. Trump became president. We need this administration to be held accountable, to come here, and the feds need to intervene in California because the state and the local people are corrupt, and they are taking advantage of the American citizens. We are down to 6% blacks in America. Many black women and men have been pushed out of their homes. Many strong black tall men who were advocates in their community protecting them got incarcerated by children of illegals who are now on the police force. Children who are illegals, whose children who are now running the police department are being mean towards black people in our community. And they're not talking about that on the news, and they don't want to talk about that in the news because that is the reality of what we are living in. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for that super chat. That means a lot. I'm getting my money up. I think I can't cash out until I hit 300, so I'm getting there, folks. Who else? I remember Real Ebony Talk. This is Joko said. I remember the Real Ebony Talk first started because of the school list that had no English speaking students twice. When do the citizens' children. So no English speaking twice. I would tell you, J. Cole, from the California perspective, when my kids were little, they had these programs called the C program. And in this program, they had half the class in English and half the class in Spanish. So if you had a child that was in a class with a lot of immigrants, they basically told you the first class would be in English and the other half would be in Spanish. Now, why do they not force these children to comply and emerge within our system? Because they do not want to assimilate. And our laws do not implement or force them to. They should assimilate. Everyone should assimilate to English, and everyone should assimilate to the American values and our American ways. But what we are becoming in California is colonized. And you might see it in your state. And be awake, wake up, start watching these people who come in your country, I call them country, into your state, and they set up like hubs and they stay together. They don't go outside of that. They'll start putting the buildings in their writings and their language and not in English. And they kind of exclude you and they keep their own in. That is the creation in the beginning of that new little monopoly colonism that's going to happen in your state. And that's how California started. We started where we were happy. Hey, come on in. People had their little countries and little cultures and we were fine. But then they changed the writings on the wall. They don't want to invite us in. The Ethiopians don't even care for Black Americans. The Nigerians don't even care for the Black Americans in California. And that's just the truth. Some of these Africans don't like us, and some of y'all don't even want to know the reality of that one. Who else has a question out there? I answered that one. Okay, Real Aaron Collins says, as somebody born and raised in Chicago, martial law is not the answer. Well, I appreciate what you're saying, Aaron, but you have not come up with an answer to fix the streets of Chicago. Your mayor, your governor, and your state have allowed Black people to continue to get killed. Children are walking the streets and getting killed in the alley, as you know, recently. They're getting gunned down, and the police is so corrupt. They got what they call them trucks, where they got them stage trucks with stuff in them, and they want you to steal so that way they can arrest you. They got stage trucks in Chicago. So now people are videotaping. They're waking up to the stage trucks. They're waking up to the fact that the police, who's supposed to commence and help the community, aren't doing that in Chicago. So What do you think is going to happen if you don't do that? It's going to get worse. More people are going to die. And we're going to go back to more of a mafia gang mood, what we have right now in Chicago. Look, you need martial law. You need commencement of a higher power policing system to stop this rhetoric. I'm sorry, but I also believe that you need quotas. You need times when they take time out. If you're not in by 6 o'clock, you will be arrested. They need to have some curfews put in the city of Chicago to slow down the crime and the misappropriate actions on the people, on criminals. That's how I feel. I feel that martial law would slow that crime factor down, and that the martial law should come in and sit down with local police and infiltrate within local police and bust several criminals on the police force. For the police force are corrupt in Chicago, as well as the administration. And the only way you're going to change that is by martial law. Now, I've always said this, and I want to make this clear. Many celebrities right now who are out there who have the money, listen, who have the money to change this country, are all they're doing is bad mouthing Trump. And if they wanted these celebrities really, and these athletes and these singers and whoever, and these Instagrams and Facebook, these people who have this profile of being out there and don't really work, really want to change Black communities, what they could do is take their money and start putting things like together, like mental health facilities, foundations to help mental health facilities for the African American people, and not do this coalition of diversity and inclusiveness. The diversity and inclusiveness does not help the plight of Black people, because all of a sudden then we get marginalized and we get pushed under. When you talk about, well, let's be inclusive, the Black and the brown, the Black and the brown don't never say Black. Let me say this again. The brown does never say Black. So if that's the case, then we don't need to be talking about inclusive diversification. We need to think of the wealthy Black people who are in this country, and what they should do is put their money where their mouth is and create mental facilities and pick up every one of these homeless Black people in America. They also can do is create community policing. Okay, Aaron, you don't believe in martial law? I see you put it in the columns here. Aaron, why don't you talk to your local pro ball NFL players and say, why don't you guys create local policing? What does that mean? I mean, people that walk the street during the day, they may not have guns, they may have tasers, they may have cell phones to bring in the other police when some things go wrong. Or you guys can hire armed guards to walk the streets in the day and at night. You need community policing to stop the rhetoric that goes on in Chicago, Atlanta, or whatever your city, or Detroit, where all this is commencing. Because what has happened is the corruption of the police, as well as the illegal immigrants that have come into our community, has caused us to become disenfranchised. We're broken up, we're angry, and we're very emotional in our actions and trying to convey our feelings and what we're trying to convey and get the message across, and what we're not getting. We're not getting a solution to the problems of Black America. And we can't do that by being antagonized by Omarosa calling everybody and everything a racist in this administration. It just doesn't help us. Hitler or a woman. I don't know what you mean by that, Market, but okay, you need Jesus. Big Sap, look at him. I don't know what that's about. Felicia says, economics. Economics. That's a good one right there. Look, if we look at the fact that we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice and domestic tranquility, that is part of the Constitution. If we look at the 14th Amendment and the 13th Amendment, it talks about the rights for African American people, and that was put in place for the Indians and the children of the indigenous slave tribe. I would encourage many of you to do this. Go to ancestry.com and learn your, not sure, people always talk about the DNA. Don't worry about the DNA. Focus on learning what your genealogy is. See how far back you can go. Because many of you might be watching, may not be children of the indigenous slave tribe. You might be Black, but you're not Black American. Well, what do you mean, Shirley? That means that your grandfather, your great-grandfather may came from Belize or Trinidad, and you understand that you're Black, but you're not a child of the indigenous slave tribe. The rights that went into the civil rights that are in place for Black people are, let's say the 13th, 14th Amendment had to deal with the children of the indigenous slave tribes. These are people whose children, whose parents, grandparents, fathers and fathers' fathers, who served in the war, or either lived during the time before slavery, when we were free slaves. You might come from a country where you're an immigrant and you came here as from Trinidad or Belize or wherever you came from. It's okay, but I want you to understand that's a different Black American, that one who was born here and who should obtain the rights to everything else. But you may say, I'm still Black. You are still Black. But I want you to understand all kinfolks are not the same folks. All kinfolks are not the same folks. And I think most of us don't know what and who we are. And we spurt history when we don't even know our own history. Some of these Black people out there on the line, some of y'all ain't got that much African in you. If you look at some of these people doing these 23andMe, some of them have 40%, 30% Africans, West African, and then everything else is European. And then they're shocked. They're like, well, I'm still Black. I'm still nigga, whatever. It's saying that your DNA is proving to you that you think you know yourself, but you know, you don't. You don't know yourself. So I would say, to thyself be true. Know your genealogy. You might want to do your DNA, but you need to understand who you are first, so then you can feel comfortable talking about someone else. You know, here we are talking about going back to Puerto Rico in the 1800s with the French settlement to Puerto Rico. I'm not Puerto Rican, so I can't even address that. I can tell you about the settlement of Africans. In 1619, the first 20 Africans came here, war Dutchmen, and landed in Virginia. And those 20 Black people came here as commodity. And those 20 Black people continue to grow to millions of Blacks in America today. And we are down to 13% in America, when we had way more than that at the beginning of this change and growth of America. Many people talk about the immigrants from other countries. Those countries did not build America. They were still in their proper place. America was built on the backs of slaves, because slaves worked with the Europeans and were used as commodity, as workmen, as tools, as animals, as shackled animals in this country. They bred Black people. They used Black people. They took the biggest man and the biggest woman. They said, go in there and have sex, and don't stop screwing her until you get a baby and get her big, and give me a strong, tall Black boy. I want some breeded animals. They bred us like you see people breed animals today to keep that blood pure and to keep that blood strong. That's what white people did to Black people during the slave times. So when you come to me talking about Puerto Rican and all that, I'm not Puerto Rican. Just to let you know, I have no Puerto Rican in me. Okay, I know what's in my DNA, and it ain't Puerto Rican. So, and no disrespect to my Puerto Rican family, because I've got some beautiful Puerto Ricans out there. Shout out to you. I love you. I appreciate you being proud Puerto Ricans, just like the Puerto Ricans are proud. I think that African Americans should be just as proud. And I think that every time an African American is proud, I do become a little offended when other cultures want to invade in my stream or in my columns or in my comments telling me about who they are and what they're about. I didn't ask you for who you are, because if I did, I would go on your page and on your channel and I would talk about that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a nation of people who came here 400 years ago that we will be celebrating and remembering those 400th anniversary of those people next year. And I'm sure you'll learn more about that. Slaves, several slaves. Let me see that. Jojo. That's the beauty of being American when we are mixed, that we have the only used Black whites in our ethnicity. I think that's what you said. I read it wrong. I have European, Irish, British, and West Africa, and Indian in me. I have no Spain. I have Asian. I thought that was interesting. Maybe one day I'll share it with you. I was like, I got a little Asian in me. Maybe when I do this, can you see it? I'm gonna do it again. Can you see it? Anyway, yeah, I got a little Asian in me. Yeah, but I agree with you. I think that you have a lot of, that's why if you look at African Americans, their head is shaped different. They ain't got that flat back. You ever look at them Africans, they got that little flat back, like a flat ass. That's how their head look in the back. And then they got that tight curl, that curl where, you know, you comb it, that if the nap hits you in the eye, you can go blind. I'm being nice, I know. Yeah, so that's a different, you know, I think that European blood kind of softens some of our curl. I still got that snap back. on my head, so I shouldn't talk. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I agree with you. I think that you're able to see the difference in an African versus an African American. And I still say it's not even so much how much African you have in you, it's proving your genealogy connection to the indigenous slave tribe to be able to obtain the rights that should begin commenced to that tribe of people. And that's what we don't see. How do you feel about Black gay Republicans? Well, first of all, I appreciate Black Americans first, who happen to be whatever they are. I don't approach my gay friends and say, hey, this is my gay friend. This is my friend Bob. If he happens to be gay and he wants to let you know that he is a gay man, that's his thing. If I got my lesbian dogs who want to let you know she's a lesbian, that's her thing. But I don't introduce my gay friends in that manner. So that's how I feel about it. I think I feel about people as much as I give you as much credence and character, as much respect as you are giving to me. If you give me respect and credence, then I ain't got no problem with you. Now, what do I feel about the gay community? I feel the gay community has commenced heavily in the Black community. They've leaned on us for civil rights. They leaned on us, and they are to me, predators after Black men. Tall Black men. The gay men love to go after Black men. Our Black men are being emasculated in America today, and Black women are in pain. They're hurting because they've got bisexual men that they have children by. They're in pain because their man is incarcerated and he's having sex with other men who are filtrating like they're women, and that man wants to get some and he needs a hole to bang and hit. He gonna hit the hole. So, it's really sad because that has to do with the government being irresponsible and what they're doing with these systems in place. These 3 strikes you're out, these set up trucks in a community, these privatized prisons that they are monitoring, and they're getting monitorations off of. They're getting money off of having these privatized prisons for Black Americans. This is crucial. It is affecting the family and the breakdown of the Black man. So if you say gays, I'm going to say Black man because you didn't say lesbian. So if we look at the Black man today, we're down to 6% in California. So a lot of Black women didn't have that many Black men to choose from. That's why they married other cultures of people. That's why we engage with different people, because you're trying to find a man based not just because he's Black, but also as a Black woman, I can share with you, Black women like myself who are strong, we want intellectual men to hang around. We want intellectual men that we can have a conversation with, that can understand the laws and the progressive governments that are in place right now. So when we talk with them, we see that they have value and they have credence on the table. And, these are things that Black women want. But unfortunately, in California, we don't have limited of that due to the fact of immigration, illegal immigration, mass incarceration, and the gay and lesbian movement that is very heavily filtrated in California. Obama failed Black people. And I'm going to say this again. And y'all hear this over and over, but I want you to understand that his mission was immigration and illegal immigration, as well as the gay agenda. He took the White House, he put Rainbow Coalition. He basically pushed and drive the narrative of gay marriage. He pushed and drive the narrative of transgender bathrooms. He pushed and drove the narrative of gays being given the same rights as Blacks through the civil rights. He abused the law, and he never had our best interests in mind. His interest was was immigrants, illegal immigrants, and the gay agenda. So now he is out of office. Thank you, Jesus. And a lot of those executive administration laws that he put in place, Mr. Trump reversed and got rid of. We got rid of that situation where we had the gay and lesbian, the transgender bathrooms, and trying to put them in elementary schools. That was under Obama. That was under Obama. He wanted to put transgender bathrooms. First of all, it would have cost millions of dollars to do that. And I don't want my little daughter or little son, if they were little, but they're not. But if I had little girls and little boys, I don't need my little girl to feel that some little boy who wants to be a girl going to girls' bathroom. Who knows, all of a sudden he gets a boy urge and try to do things to her. God forbid. Or you get a transgender man who's a woman, go use the little girls' bathroom in schools, and he's really going there to rape a child. There was all kinds of circumstances that could have commenced out of that, could have got very, very ugly. So that's my feeling about the gays and how their movement is. I don't believe in gay marriage. I had done a reality show with these really rude, obnoxious gay men. I think they do that purposely when you do reality shows. I probably will never do one of those again because it was too much staging of this energy of craziness. And I'm not about that. I'm an intellect. They didn't understand law. They didn't understand legislation. And when I was quoting law and legislation, they edited all that out. They just wanted to see an angry black woman, and that was not what they were going to get with me. They got angry, but they didn't get totally ignorant. Jojo, the Muslims, what about them? I don't know what you want me to say on that one. Obama was horrible, Big Sap said. Absolutely. Thank you, Big Sap, for being there and monitoring, and I love you. Thank you guys so much. That last live stream, Jesus, take the wheel. There was somebody in there coon something. Woo! Envy, oh my God, Envy and Sap, y'all came in and y'all were like, delete, delete, delete. I was like, thank you, because I couldn't talk and monitor, and it's a lot to try to do this live feed stuff. It's kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Pop. I see you were afraid to debate the Yvette on Black wealth. Oh, hell to the no. Yvette hung up on me when I called recently. I made my call. I was trying to talk to her, and she went, she finished the conversation and she hung up. Yvette doesn't want to debate me on wealth. I can put some great wealth people around. Yvette doesn't believe in wealth for Black people. She believes that we need government intervention. I get that part, and she believes that the government has cut fundings and it has affected our people. I understand that. But Mr. Trump came along and said he was going to create I wrote it down, hold on, the urban renewal agenda. That was in 2016, which had to do with safety, great education, and high-paying jobs. Now, you go back and you look at my videos, boo-boo, and I talked about that. And Yvette was a little bit at the beginning for Trump, and then she switched she did a switch bitch like what's that woman, Omarosa. So I love Yvette on a lot of things she says, but when it comes to wealth and opportunity, she don't believe in that. She doesn't understand it. I don't think she's ever made over 6 to 7 digits. And so when you meet somebody that ain't never had no money, they have a different ideology about wealth. Everything's based on data, and everything's based on solutions that you've read and that you've studied. But she's not lived it. See, I'm from California. I've lived it. I've been selling real estate for 30 years. I was doing great during the market. I had assets over $1 million. And then when the market crashed, it bombed, it fell apart. I got divorced, and I had to start my life all over again. So I know what I know the anguish of the highs and the pains of the lows. And I don't have to debate them on data. I can debate them on life experiences. I put myself around people who have similar life experiences. In order for me to recover financially, and for any of us to get to the level financially that we want to be at, we have to put ourselves around people who are at that position of great life experiences. Remember that. So Cooper, what's your name? Cooper Nation Cooper, let me help you out, boo-boo. I ain't got no problem talking about Yvette with money, because she can throw all the data she wants. If I would ask Yvette, have you ever made over 6 digits? Have you ever made over 7 digits? Do you have any millionaires or billionaires in your phone? Are you going to sit back and criticize people who talk about leveraging wealth opportunities for their best interests? She did a whole video talking about that girl at McDonald's and how her family helped her. So you hating on this girl because she able to have the capabilities to leverage? Everybody has different levels of leveraging. For example, you Cooper Nation, or Nation Cooper, you could be living in the Middle East. You could be living in Africa in poverty, where you have no opportunity of running waters. You don't even have streets with infrastructure built in. We are in America. We have an infrastructure called the internet. We are in a building right now. Most of us are at home, or if you're on the street or wherever you're watching me on this phone, you have an opportunity, or on your computers, to watch me, where you have live stream electricity streaming to you. How do you leverage that versus focusing on the leveraging of others because you don't have it? How can you sit back and criticize someone who came from wealth or was given the opportunity to wealth, instead of being inspired by that, saying, you know what, I can do that too. I know my parents may not have that much money, but how did she start that franchise? And learning how, if you want to have a McDonald's, a Burger King, there are franchise conventions that you guys can go to. Some franchise start at 50,000 and go up to 400,000 to 500,000. I remember when Wingstop started, we were thinking about it, we didn't do it. All these things, a lot of things I wished I would have, because I didn't leverage. I put a lot of my assets into real estate, and even though it was profitable, it also was hindered because I learned what franchise and diversifying your funds. When one session may be high, when the market crashed, I could have leaned and lived off a little bit of my franchises, but I never bought into that. But those who own franchises have residual incomes of cash flow coming in. And those cash flows help you make money when you're sleeping. So I would say to Yvette, does Yvette have any cash flows where she's making money while she's sleeping? There was a little boy on YouTube. I'm going to get that video up. I haven't done it yet, where he basically took a pen and he bought somebody for $1. And he took a pen and he made $1,000 off of it. And you saw how he kept trading up. He took the pen, he sold the pen, then he bought the pen for $1. Then he went to the store and he sold somebody, can I sell you this pen for $5? And they gave him $5. Then he went to the store and he called his friend saying, dog, I know you need some, you at home all day on the computer. Can I bring you some sodas and some chips? They said, yeah. He took the $5, bought some sodas and some chips. He said, would you pay me $5 for doing this? Yeah, I ain't no problem with that. And he spent the $5, went to his friend, gave him the stuff, and his friend gave him the $5 for getting the stuff. Then he got his whole $10 back because he paid him for the stuff as well. Then he took the $10 and he started buying CDs, and he started, I'm acting like this is a CD, CDs and video games, and he bought them cheap, he sold them high. He bought them cheap, he sold them high. He leveraged. So you look up that word. You look up that word. I ain't afraid to talk about nobody with money. Because people who aren't afraid to talk about money mean they ain't never had no money. And they're hating people who have the privilege and the opportunity to leverage. You want to stay broke, boo-boo? You go ahead. Stay out there and stay broke, because I am definitely not going to do that. That don't make any kind of sense at all. Good evening, Debbie B. Thank you. She said, I love your passion, Shirley. Oh, my God. Y'all going to try to keep going on, Yvette. It's the last Yvette question, because I'm not going to sit back and criticize Yvette Cornell. Look, Yvette Cornell, like I've stated before, everybody brings something to the table. For us to sit back and throw stones at each other doesn't help us at all. And that's one reason why I don't sit back and throw stones at her. I don't agree with everything Yvette says, just like Yvette says, I don't agree with everything Shirley says. Yvette has a different experience as far as law and living. I'm a mother who have 3 grown children. I was married for almost 30 years. I am a native of California. I am infiltrated within the community. I've worked with people in government. I've worked with people on the streets. I've worked with people in business and a corporate organization. So we all bring something different to the table. And so we come from those experiences to share what we feel is right and what we feel is wrong. And in that thought plans, we need to respect and identify that sometimes there are people who don't agree with you. And the way they don't want to address it is by cutting you off, which she's done to me, and not really providing the true facts of the matter, which she's done to me. So I'm not worried about that. I think that if you take the good and the bad of the baby water, you throw out all the stuff you don't like, and you look at the good that Yvette is serving for, is providing knowledge. Now, she speaks not highly of Mr. Trump. That's her thing. You know, again, if everybody wants to take the next 4 years, and if he wins again, another next 4 years of your life hating Mr. Trump and calling him a racist and saying that he needs to be impeached and living poor and living in that energy realm, you go right ahead. It's not going to move you forward. I want you to look up a book. It's called The Secret. I want you to learn about affirmations. Learn to say good things. Life and death, according to the word of God, is in the power of the tongue. If you want life to commence in your life, you must speak good of it. If you want America to do good for you, you say, Father God, in the name of Jesus, I want America to do well. I want to do well. I want to prosper. I want to see my husband prosper. I want to see my boyfriend prosper. My girlfriend's prosper. I want to see ways of opportunity tomorrow. Lord, give me a sign. Give the angels, give the atmosphere, give the energy of a sign of opportunity for me that I can get out of my situation in the name of Jesus. I ask you, Lord, to show me, what does leverage mean? How do I leverage my situation, good, bad, or indifferent, to do better for myself? How can I embetter my mind? How can I be more positive in my thinking? How can I find good energy around me? Because if you find people who are leveraging you as drainers, there's always some girlfriends or them boyfriends that come in your life and they be talking about, oh, I can't stand that nigga. I can't stand that girl. I can't stand. You know what? You need to let them go. Boo-boo. You can put them on a timeout, and you get them on the phone. You say, oh, this is so-and-so. You give them 5 minutes. You know, say, girl, I'd love to talk to you, but I'm actually at work, or I got another appointment. Your appointment might be to go to the bathroom, Yes, it may be, your appointment might be go get a glass of water, but you can't give any more, nope, nope, no more energy to that. So I think that when we look at different people who have platforms on YouTube, and some people have bigger platforms in different arenas. She has grown her YouTube platform. People are giving her Snapchat money. Shout out for those who want to invest in that. There are people who invest in me, and keep putting those likes up, please. I appreciate you. If you're watching me right now, I love those likes. They mean a lot to me. I know it's late at night, so we're not going to have as many people who may be on, but I will say this to you. You have to have self-confidence to move forward through your circumstance. But you also have to watch the energy distribution. I lean back, the energy distribution of people that try to put all this negative in your ear of what we aren't, what we can't do, and what history has said, and where we are, and how farther down the rabbit hole we're supposed to get. That's what they're saying. I say you need to put blocks up. Many of you need to do this. And many of you guys need to do this. Turn it off, and look up YouTube videos that are in conjunction to where you want to be. If you want to learn how to make pens, type in how to make pens on YouTube. Who you want to hang out with, how to make a pen, how to learn about the ink and the types of inks that don't drip, the colors of the ink, learn about the plastic that is used to make the pen, learn about the metal clips that are on the pens, learn about different marketing tools that you can put your name on the pen. How many people that you can put this pen in the hand of? Can you put maybe a recording device or a light on this pen? Can you put a tip on the pen so that you can talk on your computer with this pen? All these things you need to think about when you make a decision to sell a pen. Now you say, Shirley, I don't want to sell pens. You may not want to sell anything. Well, whatever your ventures or desires are, you put that same broken down, dissected viewpoint that I just shared with you on that matter. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Okay, so let's just keep it real. Who else is out there? Yes, we did give a shout out to Aretha Franklin. So God bless her. She's a beautiful person. She loved the Lord, and she was truly an African. And rest in peace, Terry Anderson. Shout out to Terry Anderson, J. Cole. He was a wonderful person. He had a great radio show, and he was truly an advocate. You guys look up Terry Anderson. I actually posted some of his videos of the late Terry Anderson in California, who was an advocate, who understood the plights of illegal immigrants and what they had done. Anti-gravity 74. Why is it that Black liberals always attack Black conservatives, but never try to work with them on issues they both can agree on? You know, that is a good question. I think because everybody wants to feel that they have to always be right on both sides. I'm always right. They say, I'm always right. But I think that there are things that they do have right, and there's things that we have right. And I also think that there's people who are driving these liberal progressive Blacks, that they don't think for themselves. I think Black Lives Matter has been filtrated by lesbians and this whole liberal progressive pussy hat wearing people who hate Trump and scream in the street and rip their bras and show their titties and things that our culture of people would never even think of doing. They do. They talk about Black Lives Matter, and then they switch and pivot and include brown and illegals and immigrants. So it's not monolithic. It's not like right here, that's all we want to focus on is Black people and only Black people and what is going on in America and the history traits of how government has intervened, broken up, stolen, basically invaded. They invaded when it came to Black Wall Street. They stole our Black men out of our home by allowing 3 strikes you're out. And they stolen Black men out of the home by not allowing Black women to have Section 8 and allow the man to come back into the home. Those are issues that are more prevalent. I think a lot of us could agree on both sides. I believe we need to come together. That was something Yvette Cornell said, and we're back to Yvette, said last time when I was on her show, I think Monday or last week or something. She says, we need to have a picnic. We need to sit down to the table and have a conversation. And my goal is to have that with Urban Game Changers. Many of you guys know I talk about Urban Game Changers. We're going to be at Politicon. And we're going to hopefully be at the Taste of Soul. And I just want to encourage you guys to join Urban Game Changers, because we are going to start really breaking down the websites being redone. We're going to really break down opportunities within state to state of local activists and people who want to communicate regarding a state, local, and federal. You have to hold yourself accountable as well as your elected officials. But if you don't know who they are, then you fail yourself. So that's a good question. It would be great if all of us came together. Unfortunately, I think everyone wants to be a star, and we got to figure out how we make that work. Okay, we should not get caught up into the racial rhetoric, because that has nothing to do with Trump. That is true. Can do for us in America. No. White people. Many of you guys work for a white person. You work for white people. You don't even know if they're racist, right? You might even know. Let's say they're racist. Let's say your boss is racist. Let's say you know your boss and said that N-word, right? Excuse me, your boss is racist and he said the N-word. Now, hear me out. Just hear me out. Get the likes up. Keep pushing those likes and keep following and share this video. If you have a racist boss, are you going to stop working? Are you going to say, don't pay me? Are you going to spend the whole day calling co-workers and saying, you know, he's racist, he's racist? No, you're going to get whatever you got to get, because you need that paycheck to feed your family. Your family comes first, or it should come first, right? Your lifestyle comes first. Your habitation comes first. Your health should come first. And most of all, God should come first. You should have the spirit of discernment to pray for those who you feel have biased racial tendencies. That's the first thing as a believer, if you're a Christian, you should do. Instead, you sit back talking about races and the racism and the rhetoric of all of that, when you know you live in a society where the fiber and the thread of America consists of racism. You guys have to admit with me. Come on, stay with me. Listen, America was built on the backs of slaves. We were brought here as commodity, and we're still used as commodity, okay? But we're in the fabric of the Constitution with the addendums that have been put in place. We're in the fabric of America because going back to 1619, they needed working bodies to build in a mass production that they would not be able to do and did not want to do. So, yes, we talk about race in America because it is part of the fabric. Why don't we stop? Because then you pull the drapings apart and you get to see that you would have nothing. So why do we talk about race and racism and white supremacists on some of these channels? Because it's part of the fabric. Now, if it's part of the fabric, what is the solution to heal the pains? That's where the barbecue got to come together. Well, we need to sit down and have a legislation. We need to have an agenda to perform and put together on the table. Mr. Trump came up, again, I'm going to read it to you again, called the Urban Renewal Agenda. You look this up. This was something back in 2016. It was a template that he made specifically for the children of the indigenous slave tribe, or at least Black America, I should say. It had to do with safety in the community, good education, and high-paying jobs. That was part of the 2016 campaign, and it was supposed to be part of the administration. Unfortunately, because of Omarosa, she didn't take that template, and she pivoted us to the CBC that focused on inclusiveness and in diversity and coalition organizations regarding everyone, as well as Daryl Scott, who is the president of the Inclusive Coalition Diversity. He's not even representing Black people. He's representing everybody else. But if you go to the Latino Coalition, they represent the Latino, the Jewish Foundation, the Asians. It's very, very, very focused. But again, that has to do with the fiber of Black America. So, or America. Hopefully that answered a lot of questions. Okay, DB says welfare becomes some woman's employees popping out with kids and getting checks with their fathers. I know what. How do they fix these people who have life struggles with themselves and their children? That is a good question, Deborah. One of the things that people need to identify is they need to break that spirit of government dependency. That pattern of my mama, my grandmama, my mother's mother has always got a check, and they use the government to subsidize their lifestyle and their work to work together. This is how people are doing this. They commingle the government subsidy with working under the table. So this is kind of like their pattern. That's a problem. Right now, we see more illegal immigrants in California. I'm going to tell you from California perspective. We see more illegals in California who come here and they really abuse the infrastructural systems. And they're being trained and they're being coached by people on the left, as well as the Catholic Church, and as well as politicians and many police who protect them in the community. This is called corruption, Deborah. That's what this is. And when you have corruption, you have a dysfunctional system that is in place for the protection of those who don't have, and it becomes a necessity for those who want. Hopefully that answers your question. What is the solution? I still say we need martial law. We need the government to move more quickly. We don't have just session moving quickly in California. They need to move more quickly. They need to stop federal funding towards illegals and immigrants and people. After having so many children, you shouldn't have any more money given to you. You need to get out there and work, boo-boo. You created the child. You should be responsible for the child. You should not look at children as a paycheck, because that's what we're seeing with these people. Children as a paycheck, as well as Americans. So it is a pattern that America has had probably a couple of decades now, and they need to change that. And the only way they're going to change that is unless America wakes up and start complaining about that. Latinos have Univision. It is a big, powerful house for illegal immigrants' causes. Absolutely, because the immigrants, as well as the Latino coalition, use those number bases to solidify their strength in America. And they get to talk to the president. In 2017, President Trump met with the Black coalition. Vice President Pence met with the Latino coalition. In 2018, President Trump met with no Black people. President Trump only met with the Latino coalition. No one's talking about that. I'm just telling you the true facts. So either his administration, because Omarosa is gone, is not feeling obligated to really address the Black community, or the Black community has not done their part by pressing this administration to have a seat at that table. But it has to be the conservative Trumpicans or Republicans or those who may not, or independents that aren't so left-wing progressives, because they have already said, we don't want to talk to him. They said that in the tweet that they did with Omarosa after they met with President Trump the second quarter of 2017, saying that they do not want to work with this president. You can look that up. I'm not making this up. I did a video on it, by the way. If you want to go through my feed and look up a Congressional Black Caucus denied and also Omarosa buffoonery, I break it down. Please watch that video and you get the whole thing. How much time do I have? I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and I'm gonna get off this thing, because I know my family's saying, we gotta go to sleep. Mama's doing live feed and she talking loud. You know, I'm talking loud. Okay, let's keep it going. Civil rights of the 186 was written by a former slave of the U.S. citizens, and the laws have nothing to do with illegal immigrants. That is so true. Emmanuel Dark is correct. The civil rights of 1816 was written for us. And let me say that again, because for some reason, immigrants, illegal immigrants, even white people get mad about this. I don't understand this. I told you this mindset of coalition, diversification, inclusiveness has really messed many of you guys up in not understanding history, and also has caused you to have embedded racism. Embedded racism is something that you don't realize that is already within you, because you get stirred up when someone is very proud of who they are. Like, I'm a proud African-American person. But what has happened is, because of the Obama administration and the amendments that have commenced in the last 5 to 10 years, with the gay and lesbians pressing on those rights, civil rights has a lot of power behind it. And we started to share our power. That's why they always say black and brown. They want to make sure they put black first, because black has the power position. Listen to what I'm saying. Black people have the power position first. And then they say brown and illegals and gays and transgenders and all that other stuff. But black has the power position because they led the control and the filtration of the civil rights for Black Americans. Your sexual gender has nothing to do with civil rights. If you're a white man, you walk in the room, ain't nobody gonna know you suck dick. Ain't nobody gonna know you gay. Ain't nobody gonna know that. You chose that. But if I walk in the room, trust me, they know exactly who and what I am and what I'm about. And that's so true. Debbie says, thank you, Shirley. I've seen my generation do it, and now young ladies in their 20s are doing it too, but they refund to get married. They refuse to get married so they can get checks in health care. Very sad for kids today. Absolutely. Because there's, I never raised my children by themselves, by the way. Their father is in their life. He was in their life when they were little. He was always in their life. I don't know what it's like to be a single mother. So even though we're not married, I don't know what it's like to be a single mother. My children don't act right. I call their dad, or their dad will step in. So I can't relate to that, but I will relate to this. If you're a single mother, stop blocking that man from that child. It's not fair. Stop taking on the role of a man and a woman. That's not what God wanted you to do. And stop being greedy. That ain't your child. You didn't create that child by yourself. And stop running the guilt trip on that man about how he don't do this and he don't do that, and this is my baby. It ain't your baby. He's got his DNA and his blood in that baby. And that's vice versa. That same man who might have some wife that needs a little correction, y'all got to come together with your trifleness and make it work. But I don't understand single women who use their children as commodity and not want to commence by bringing a man in to help them, or a woman in to help him raise that responsibility which you created. That's wrong, and that's not of God. And I don't think that's empowering as a person, because what you're doing to that child is devastating. That child doesn't have an opportunity to have a balance in his life. That's why you have a lot of young men who may not be gay, but they're emasculated because their aunt and their mother and their grandmother raised him, and he has no masculinity in his surroundings. He's got his mama saying, baby, you need to match with your clothes. You need to keep your hair perfect. Men don't do that. Boy, just get on out here. Get your shirt on. We got to go. We're going to go to the store, boy. Men don't do that. So you see how a man speaks to his son versus his mother. And so when women do that, they emasculate their son. So if you guys want to emasculate your son, then you go right ahead and keep doing that, because that's not fair to that man, black, white, yellow, whatever ethnic background he is, when he desires to have that counterpart, as well as his daughter. I'm saying men, but young women as well. I was a daddy's girl, and I'm so grateful I had a wonderful father who commenced from the South. He was a businessman, and he was very strong. He was very poignant. He was very masculine. He was very alpha. So he would have not been alpha if he didn't have a strong father. And he had uncles and cousins who were alphas. That's the problem today. Many black men and men are not alphas, and they need to think about themselves and put themselves in check. And if you're not an alpha man because you didn't have any men around you, then you need to look at yourself, boo-boo, and say, let me find men who have fortitude, who are intellectual, who I can have a conversation with. Find you a black man, or find you a mentor, not black. Find you a mentor who could add value to your life. That's male and female. Look for a mentor. If it's financial, if it's emotional, if it's physical, in the sense that he's going to talk to you about making sure that you stay healthy, getting a good trainer. Find you some mentors in your life, so that way you can suppress all that strangeness that's out there. Transcopiation. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Transcopiation. Yay! Thank you so much for that. $5. Hey! Got that $5. $5 in the house. Thank you so much. Can POTUS call a truce and be in peace with, my phone is acting really weird, with the gangs in the urban areas? Go to streetgangs.com. Shout out to, I think his name is it Aaron? Oh my God, I should know this man's name. Streetgangs.com. You will learn about the different street gangs nationwide, what they are doing, how they came about. He has a very laid out history through streetgangs.com and where the gangs are today. And the MS-13s have really pushed down the Crips and the Bloods in California. MS-13s are being hailed and talked about through Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton. these are not animals. These people are animals. They have machetes and knives, and they're stabbing black people, and they're macheting black people, and no one wants to talk about that in the news. There are a lot of stabbings that are taking place, more than what you want to know. And unfortunately, POTUS doesn't even talk about that. So, again, we have corruption in the urban communities of gang members, and they're being elevated to a new level where we have cities like in Sacramento, where they gave $1.5 million towards illegal gang members to keep the peace in the community. Have you heard anything so crazy? Like, I was like, this is crazy. They're giving gang members $1.5 million to keep peace in the community. Why would you do that? Well, because they probably are skimming, and they paid them cash. Y'all look that up. I ain't making that up. Go on, Google me. Google me. Google me. Do your homework. Do your homework. So yeah, in those urban communities. So thank you so much for yes, Alex Alonzo. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron said Alex Alonzo is streetgangs.com. I couldn't think of that man's name. Did I say Alex? I think I did. Yay! Nice man. Professor at different. I think he went to USC. He's a professor for LA City College, or one of those colleges. I don't want to quote certain things, but he's very astute, and he's a professor, and he has a relationship with the people in the community and the gang members. Many gang members he done met or killed, and he got them on video. Dog be going places. The queen ain't going there. I'm gonna just let you know. I ain't gonna go there, but some people do, and I won't. Civil rights purposes. Civil rights, as far as the way civil rights are today, they have been misconstrued and they are being manipulated. Unless African Americans take advantage of the 400th anniversary that we're about to embark upon and ask for a reset for right standing and a reset for civil rights that should be only for Black people. When we say reset, people think they're talking about putting us back into slavery. I'm not talking about putting us back in slavery. I'm talking about a reset as far as even this Trump administration. Go back to the urban renewal agenda, which had to do with safety, great education, and high-paid jobs. Mr. Trump, why don't y'all go back to that and basically put a commission of committee members of Trump and conservatives and urban activists? Let me say this one more time before I go. There's 4 types of activists right now. There's people who are pundits, people who are commentators, people who are advocates, and people who are activists. The pundits and the commentators are these ones that have all this SEO work. These Black people who speak that they support Trump and talk about slavery and the walk-away movement, and that you see them all over the place. Those are pundits and commentators. An advocate is what, quote unquote, Omarosa kind of was, plus she was employed. She apparently, quote unquote, as we learned later on, is not, but she was perpetrating as an advocate for Trump. She spoke in his behalf. She spoke in his interests. She was his voice when others were not. And she spoke apparently for Black people, which she did not. She was an advocate. An activist is what most of us who watch me and what I am. We're in the communities, we're on the streets, we're talking to the people, we got our ear to the ground, like Aaron's out there in Chicago, like Urban Guy is driving up and down the street. Even O'Shea, who's not here in America, still has the pulse of the community by having many of us on his channel talking about what's going on between Black and white supremacists and how it affects us. You have people like Phil, who's out there, the Advice Show, who's out there. He's got his opinion on the line, talking about what's happening with all the racism and the tendency that we're seeing with these videos where people are live streaming on the streets, the police brutality, the miscommunication, the misappropriation of funds with the city council, with these alleged Black leaders. That's an activist. Listen to me. That's an activist. A pundit and a commentator, they never understand that because they're not part of that. They're good at understanding data. They're good at understanding the agenda for Blacks as far as the past history, but they're not good at relating our relationship with people, with me and you. in order for this administration, listen with me, and I'm going to close with this. Please listen. Please get the likes up. Thank you so much for the super chats. Every money and every dime that you get helps me in the future. I've got some business to take care of that's going to affect Black America. I'll share with you next week. But I want you to realize this. In order for us to move forward as a unit, we need to wake up. And we need to identify that activists need to have a voice on the table. But we don't have that voice on the table because we keep recognizing these pundits and commentators with their emotional, historical, documentary agendas that are put out there. And that is supposed to solidify how Black Americans feel today. Well, I would tell you it does not. And it will not. And what will is us coming together, talking about an agenda, presenting it to the Trump administration, and them having open arms to have a representative on every level of state, from every state, all of the United States of America. Every state should have a representative for the Black urban communities in the communities. And by doing that, we have a representative for Chicago, Atlanta, California, New York, Nebraska, Arkansas, you know, all these people, Florida. We need representatives that can meet with the Trump quarterly and say, Mr. Trump, these are the address, these are the pains that I'm having in my state. And I would say to you as an activist and an urban game changers motivator in this, I would say learn the 3 pains in your community. Once you identify those pains, learn the 3 solutions in your community. And number 3, identify those 2 and find the legislation that should commence to protect you regarding those goods and bads of your community. Meaning what? That means that if you know that this is wrong and the laws state that is wrong, then you should do something about it. Either you vote that legislator out, that elected official out, that judge out, that police chief out, or you get together in your community and you start a petition to put a new proposition on the ballot to end and stop that situation. In California, they've got a new petition to stop the gas tax. So first they let the cuckoo for Cocoa Pop governor, Jerry Brown, increase in gas tax. Now we got to go through the rhetoric of getting all these signatures to reverse it and say, we do not want the gas tax. And that's what people did. So they're writing the whole thing up and they're saying, we're going to stop the gas tax. And they did that by uniting the people. Black people, you can do the same thing. You need to understand that you have rights and you have the same capabilities as everyone else out there. Anybody else? Shirley, you are all that. Am I all that? Yo, I don't know if I'm all that. You know, I'm just real. Ain't nothing special than a girl who's hungry for the truth and a passion for her people. That's all. I got a passion and a heart for my people. I don't have the numbers that a lot of those people have out there, but I do have the historical and the resume of political connection and background. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I ain't nobody gonna try to rack me on that. I'm not just here talking rhetoric. I've worked on several campaigns. I've done cold calls. I've knocked on doors. I've stayed up late nights with candidates, and I've also been very active in the community. I know other organizations that are not Republican, and shout out to my non-Republican friends who love me, regardless of me wearing this red hat, which annoys them. So I just, you know, I'm me. I just try to keep me, you know. It's not easy, but I just try to keep me because so many people are so damn nasty. They're just nasty. And that's the part I just don't like. But, you know, I keep it real. Don't come up on me now because you won't get another person. I actually lived here in LA now, Shirley, but I don't also try to stay abreast of what's going on in Chicago. Oh, you live here now. Okay, but you try to stay abreast of what's going on in Chicago. I talk to my family and I read about things going on there. I think we all do, but we have to identify those who are on the ground have a different perspective. You notice there was a new video where these pastors all asked for martial law, Aaron. You might look for that because that just recently came out where they went to the news and they told Mr. Trump, we need martial law now. We're tired of black people being killed. So that really sucked. Oh, Michael gave me $1.99. Oh, $1.99. He gave me $5. Oh, Jesus. I got $5. Hey, thank you so much. I love those super chats. They add up and they're going to get me to my goal. So I finally get my 300. YouTube will not let you get none of that money unless you get to 300. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there, doggone. I think I'm up to about 100. Hey, so you guys keep watching, keep sharing, and I'll be able to continue to do what I do, and I'll do more live feed just for you. You know, this whole DACA situation is not good for Black America and for America as a whole. And so Emmanuel Dark, Voss titled something, business are refusing to hire DACA recipients. That's not true. In California, the immigrants have hired the DACA recipients because they can skim and pay them under the table. I'm telling you, I didn't talk to Black people who told me they didn't watch them get envelopes, these white envelopes. They got extra money for them people because they're putting extra hours in that they ain't supposed to do. And they say they paid a minimum wage so they don't have to pay the government the amount that they're supposed to do for the infrastructure for America. See, you pay your taxes as your rent to live here. Many people don't want to pay taxes. You pay taxes because your taxes are your rent to live here. Now, we can get behind on our taxes. God knows we've all might have been there or be there now. But it's okay because eventually you're trying to work something out where you have paid your taxes and you're current. But understand, it is your rent to live here. But when you have business owners who use visas and immigrants who come here and leverage the infrastructure of America by hiring DACA workers and skimming under the table, that works against us because the money that should have been taxed to help the infrastructures of the streets and the schools not getting there. And so what happens is they raise our taxes, like our gas tax or our property taxes or our food tax, and we end up paying for it anyway. But they don't get to feel the pain of that of that taxation that should have took place. Man, people better learn law if they want to wake up. I tried to give more. I am new to this. I appreciate that, Mike. It's okay. You know what you give, I appreciate. $5 is well appreciate. $100, $10, $20, $1,000. You know, our millions, whatever you give. I think all of us realize whatever you give is going to make a difference. That helps me buy batteries. That helps me. I need a new computer. I got a new camera, so I'm trying to work it. I'm trying to get some new lights. All that came about because y'all giving money through Urban Game Changers so that I can get on the streets and be bold enough. I got a night camera, so I don't need a light. I can kind of look at stuff at night without my lights being on, so I can show you night videos. So I'm gonna start doing some night videos that they won't show you, that I want to show you of how these people commence and operate under the table and in front of you on the streets. So where does that money go? That's where my money goes, towards video, and also goes towards trips. Last year we showed you what was going on in Houston and the fate of Black America, fate of America in Houston. This year was the fate of Black America, where we went to Washington, D.C., and we talked about now that this administration is in place. We were at Oohs and Ahs, and we had an amazing turnout. So we hope to do again something in D.C., and this year we're putting our money together for Politicon. So all the money that you're giving me, I'm going to show and tell you where I'm putting that money at. I'm not just going to write blogs and put videos up talking to you. I'm going to get out of this seat and I'm going to get on the streets and I'm going to create a conversation and a place of communication for us where we can agree and disagree. Like someone said earlier, well, we do have a right to talk to liberals as well as progressive conservatives, so that we can find some common ground with each other. So I'm grateful. Oh, I got another $3. Woo! Thank you. What do you think about the Q movement? Oh, that QAnon movement? Time will tell. Time will tell. I really don't have any comments on that one. I think you have to give me more of a breakdown. What do you mean by that? Envy's back. Hey, girl. Where you been? Where you been? I know Big Sap's been watching these Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, so thank you, Big Sap. God bless y'all. I praise God for the monitors. I'm telling you, the moderators help immensely, greatly. Chill, you're only one person. La, I am only one person. You got that right. And I grant you, there are a lot of us out here and we sit in front of this camera, we're talking, cracking jokes, and a lot of them are kind of regurgitating the news that are currently out there. That's okay. But I believe that you need to be proactive versus just reacting, like this whole Omarosa thing. We can really beat that drum till it's dead. That's okay. but I would rather beat the drum of talking about being proactive, seeing what this administration is going to do. Are they reaching out to us? Many of us, are they going to talk to us? Are we going to have a chance to sit at the table? And when we do, will we be prepared? Will we have a portfolio of an agenda to prepare to give to the White House and to see what their responses are? Because I believe that the Trump administration, and shout out to those who might be watching that from the administration, if y'all could get this video to them, get those likes up and keep subscribing. Shout out to them that will listen to us now that she's gone. The doors that were blocked that can be opened. Keiko James, an amazing advocate for understanding historical Black rights of the Heritage Foundation, was blocked. This woman is amazing. Keiko James has talked about Black history. She goes back to remember as a little girl when Blacks, doctors and lawyers and school teachers all lived in the same community. We weren't divided based on economics. We were all together as a culture of people. And that's in some of the books that she's written. Look up Keiko James. She's phenomenal. And she wanted to work with this administration. Elroy, another friend out there, wanted to work in this administration. Omarosa blocked a lot of Black people who wanted to do good for this administration, who understood the ideologies of Black conservatism and the Black communities that were not being heard. She blocked that. She blocked that. So she's lying when she says that he didn't want to do anything. I know she blocked me. I met with her in Trump Tower. I went up to the towers in 2016, December 16th. I might put that video up so you guys can see it. And I got there, I flew from Los Angeles and I went to New York, and she had me speak to the press. And I said she was wonderful because she said, I'm going to help Black people. I can't wait. I'm excited. And she motivated me to believe that same truth, which was a lie, because she was taping from when she worked on his campaign. The woman is a liar and no good within her. What else? Okay, 3 branches of government, right? Cybersecurity, Black communities. I'm reading what Ivy's saying. Universal love law, rules, legislation, high learning reform, bridging gap between law officers and communities, and etc. Great points, Ivy. Great points. I think we're both on the same point. Cybersecurity, Black people should go to school and learn cybersecurity forensics. There are a lot of programs. You don't need a degree. Listen. All you need to do is look at the trades. Look up cybersecurity. Look up certificate, completions of certification and security, and being able to code and being able to be a developer, a web designer, and all of those things. And that will put you at a better income bracket without thinking you got to spend a lot of money and go to these high-end college and universities. University love law, rules and legislation, higher learning reform. These are things, as far as we all know, Black, white, whatever color you are, you can go into major debt. You can go into major debt with colleges and universities and still be homeless and poor. There's a lot of homeless, educated people in LA right now. Listen to me. There's a lot of homeless, educated people right now in LA, okay? So you don't want to be one of them, boo-boo. You want to find a trade that you can make some money off of. And so you need to think about whatever trade, or if you're in college right now, how fast can I turn this into money? How fast can I get my student debt paid off? Because if you can't get your debt paid off and you find out there's like so many people in your field, you might want to pivot more into that, into technology, because every field, even nursing, has some form of technology behind it. So think about that. Bridging between law enforcement and community. Absolutely. The law enforcement in Chicago is corrupt. Many states and cities have corruption. California have children of illegals have now joined the law enforcement. So they're going to leverage against Black people, and they're going to leverage in the best interests of illegals and immigrants. Hear me now. Get the lights up. Listen to what I'm saying. And understand the word leverage. Look up the word leverage. And then I want you to take a piece of paper and some pen. And I want you to write down the leverages that you have an advantage of and the leverages you have a disadvantage of. And you figure out the difference. You figure out what you have to make it work and what you don't have to make it to something that you can make it work. Okay? So when you hear some people on the mother channels talking about Black people ain't got no money, ain't got no jobs, can't make it, can't do nothing, again, put that hand up. Open your mind. Don't be listening to all that rhetoric. You know, I said that Jarvis. I know I'm saying your name wrong. Jarvis. God bless you. Thank you for coming in. I'm gonna say this, and I wasn't gonna say it, but I was gonna do a video on it. But I'll go ahead and talk about it. Omarosa is not 100% Black American. She's half African. Her father was Nigerian. Omarosa is an Obama-ite. She is the same kind of Black as Obama. Omarosa did not represent African Americans because she was not African American. She was Nigerian. She loved and adored her father. Her father was killed, and she was devastated by that. And she was devastated by what happened to her brother. And she was devastated on how her father died. She was devastated. So she really leaned to wanting to know more of her Nigerian heritage. Matter of fact, when she got married, she had half American and half of her wedding was in Nigerian garment and women dressed up like Nigerians. Now, shout out to the Nigerians, but shout out to the indigenous slave tribe, the children of the indigenous slave tribe who could commence back to slavery. Those are the children who should understand the laws and the regulation of Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. She couldn't relate to none of that. That woman couldn't relate to none of people. Nat Turner, she couldn't relate to that. Dr. King, she couldn't relate to that. She's just quoting and knowing data and numbers. But she had nobody. Some of us have grandparents that may have worked in the railroad who might have done the civil rights march. Come on now. Come on now. Some of you guys got grandmothers, great-grandmothers that maybe marched with Dr. King. Or maybe remember back in the day when we couldn't even drink from the same water fountain. Had to sit in the back of the bus. Come on now. Now you got this girl. I'm talking like from the South. Now you got this girl who sit up there and talk about she represent Black people, and the girl ain't even African American. Come on, let's just keep the record straight. The girl wasn't Black American, she was Nigerian, and Nigerians came first. Omarosa is first generation American. That is correct, Mike. She is first generation American, and I have a problem with that. I believe that people should be at least 3 generations in, because if you're first generation, your loyalty is never to America first. It is to the inheritance of which you came from, and rightfully so, and I respect that. But you have to understand that the history and the pain and anguish of what your job was commencing to do, to represent, you did not do that. So you had no relationship with that. Matter of fact, the sister girl never had an invitation to the barbecue. How many of you guys seen this girl involved in the Black community? All you saw her as being scandalous and heinous towards Black people. Even that Black man she took out the first year of The Apprentice. That man should have won, but she messed him up. That's why didn't understand why Mr. Trump kept working with that old silly trifling woman. You know, it's so true. Pam, how you doing, girl? Pam that came in okay. That is the so truth. So, you know, from Chicago and California, the policing is an issue. From Chicago to California, we have to understand that there's pain in both states. They just weigh out 2 different things. But nationally, if we understand that this administration does have a responsibility in bringing more of us to the table, but if we don't ask for that table and we don't come as a unit in that table, we fail. That's why I created Urban Game Changers, so that we can go as a table of people and say we have people nationwide that are talking to the community on the street. We have leaders in our organization that understand cultural differences within the family and within children. There is a cultural difference in other people, and as well as American people. You might have a cultural difference based on Black and Judaism, Jewish people and Black people, but then we're still Americans and we have a cultural difference against the British people, okay? Against people from Middle East. That's another cultural differences, okay? But to deny that means you're delusional. To not respect that means you have embedded racism. I'm sorry. When you sit back and say, oh, no, we're all the same, we need to be inclusive, woo, 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 woo. So you want me to deny the pain and anguish of the indigenous slave tribes and walk away and become a Black nationalist? Nah, I'm good. I'm not going to walk away from the right to this pen. People died so I can have the right to this pen, to have an opinion, to put my voice on the table, to vote and get everything I want according to the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, that we can talk about the civil rights. Black people marched, Black people gave up their bodies and their bones, and they were used in such a ways that when the historians dug up bones of dead people. They found slaves whose bodies were disjointed from them because they worked so hard, their bodies pull bones out of place. Now, y'all look that up. So I'm supposed to disavow and totally walk away and now become a fucking black nationalist? I don't think so. I respect black people, but I respect that this government has a responsibility to the black people, and I'm not moving until I get my barbecue and my boneless chicken. Okay, don't get it twisted. Always real 24/7. Exactly. Thank you. Oh my God, Omarosa messed up a lot of jobs. Yes, she did, Ivy. Envy me greatly. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much, by the way. I was talking about you earlier for blocking all those crazy ass chats that were out there. And thank God for all the super chats again. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Fanso Opinion. Thank you so much. And thank you for the earlier super chat that was put out there. It means a lot. It adds up. And like I say, it pays for the little things that help me be able to not only produce better videos, but really get out of this situation. Gas is almost $4 a gallon in California. So everywhere we go, you can spend $20 to $30 to get around. And when people think, well, they just gave $5, why is she so excited? Because that $5 paid for that damn gas for me to get downtown and to park my car a certain place so I can walk and get in those areas that many of you have not known about and would have not known if I did not tape them and hear those people's stories, because those are Americans and their voices need to be heard. So every dollar that you get, they add a lot of value to the table. Yes, Mia Love is Haitian. That's right. Mia Love is Haitian. She's Mormon as well. So she's not even Christian. She's Mormon, and she was under Mitt Romney. And she's from Utah. So again, another person and married to a white man. I'm not trying to criticize. I'm trying to help y'all identify what kind of Negro are you. You know, everybody ain't gonna be barbecuing at the barbecue table. Now she ain't gonna be there. She ain't gonna be at the cookout. That girl ain't gonna. She gonna be at the Haitian party. She'll be at the Mormon party, but she ain't gonna be at the black barbecue cookout. So you know, we do have Tim Scott. I hopefully look forward to meeting him one day. So we'll see what happens with that. But, you know, just because a person's African looking or dark complexion does not mean that they are children of the indigenous slave tribe. They don't have a genealogy connection to the infrastructure of America. They are not part of the revolutionary changes that commits in America. They are basically people who were able to benefit off of Black Americans. Does she do good? I'm assuming she does, because she continues to get reelected as an elected official, and she's up there in Congress. So yeah, Big Sap says, I adore you. Anyway, I adore you too, Big Sap. Y'all don't know me. I got to meet Big Sap when we were in Texas. Yeah, with Phil. Phil, you know, I love me some Phil. That's a big piece of chocolate right there. We have to come up with new laws and prohibiting Blacks imposters. And absolutely, we have a lot of Black imposters out there. I don't know if I use the word imposter. I think that they're Black. I just don't think that they're right fit Black. And I think white America has never truly understood us, and no one really broke it down to them to understand that all Blacks are not Black. Some people saying that Candace Owens chick is Caribbean. She's not really Black American. So, you know, again, you have Caribbean Blacks, you have Haitian Blacks, you have Nigerian Blacks. But what about the children of the indigenous slave tribe? Those Blacks are kind of scarier because they understand history, number one, and they can relate to the truism of America. And K. Cole would be perfect. I would advocate for K. Cole to take over Omarosa's position, honestly. When people say it should be, I say K. Cole. Because I've met K. Cole, I've read her books, and I understand her philosophy, and I think she would be a great advocate. She would be professional. But I do believe that she still needs a little edge. She needs some people in the community, such as myself and many of you guys who are following me right now. Well, I think that's it. I think I've said enough. I've run my mouth long enough to make you guys see my new lighting. This is it. I'm gonna try to do better. I'm gonna try this spot when I go live talking to other channels. I'm trying not to look so dark. Not like I don't mind being dark. I like chocolate. I'm tasty. Tasty. Look, I just taste myself. But seriously, I do believe that the right lighting makes a world of difference on us cocoa people. Because otherwise, if we ain't got no light, look, see, look how dark I am. I come up all hard. Look, see, that just don't look as good. It's not as sexy and youthful. Like, hey. So, I'm trying to get it together. Yes, 2020, Trump. 2020, make America great again. Let's make it black again too, doggone it. And get more of you brown people, you black brown people. Let me clarify that, because when people say brown, you know, they ain't talking about black Americans, they talking about Mexicans. Let's get the real black brown people together, and let's continue to talk. Let's continue to love each other. Let's continue to motivate, contribute. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for the super chats. And thank you. Let me know what you want me to talk about, because I know I just popped on, but I did want to share my heart, test my lighting, and listen to you. So thank you so much, and good night.